The good part is this helps build your wealth. And besides building your wealth, you're making an impact. You're leaving a legacy. You're changing things up. And so anybody that can put 2 to 5% of their portfolio into venture capital should be doing that.
Welcome to Living Not So Fabulously, where raw honesty collides with your bank account and a respectable amount of glitter. You know, if we had $1 for every time someone told us that money was the same for LGBTQ plus people and for women, we would have enough money to fund our own documentary about how colossally wrong that is.
Right. Like how in 2024, white male-only founders received 77% of all VC dollars, while women-only teams secured just 3% of funding rounds.
I'm curious how that'll play out in 2025 now that everything that doesn't fit into a tiny little box is now considered DEI.
Right. Thankfully, we have brave folks still fighting the fine fight.
Catherine Gray is the dynamic founder of She Angel Investors, host of the Invest in Her podcast, and executive producer of Show Her the Money, the documentary revealing why women historically get only 2% of venture capital funding.
A TEDx speaker and angel investor, she raised over $1 million to back female-led projects and amplify LGBTQ plus voices. Catherine blends storytelling, capital, and purpose into a movement that's as unstoppable as it is inspiring.
Welcome to the show, Catherine. We're excited to have you.
Thank you. Good to be here, guys. I really appreciate the platform to talk about our mission here to fund more women and more LGBTQ and people of color, all the underrepresented founders out there that aren't getting the funding that they need and they deserve, but more importantly, that impacts the planet without their innovations.
Love it. Love it. Yeah, so let's dive into that a little bit. You've built an entire platform around closing the funding gap for female founders in particular. What would you say is the single biggest misconception that holds women back from going after that capital, whether it's from sort of internal bias or even external challenges?
Oh, I don't think women are held back from going after the funding, and that includes LGBTQ or people of color. They go after it. They just don't get the funding. And one of the main reasons, one of the things that is most broken with the system is who are the investors, because they decide who gets the funding. So if we don't see ourselves sitting at that table making the decision of who gets the money, well, then we're not getting the money. And so that's why our mission with our 100-city tour, with our movie, Show Her the Money, is all about activating more people in those sectors to invest in venture capital. And how and why would they do that if they don't understand what venture capital is? And that really is the purpose of the movie, to, in a storytelling, engaging way, be able to explain to people what is venture capital and how unbelievably exciting it is. It's fascinating. And then how important it is to what products and services we even see in the future. And will they be ones that are innovated by women and people of color and LGBTQ people? And so the only way we're going to make that equitable for those underserved communities are we have to be out there making the investments and educating ourselves on why we should be doing that. And so I'm a big proponent of people educating themselves about it. I do believe it is film and television that helps change culture because it raises awareness, and awareness then creates change. Right, guys?
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate this kind of explanation that you give here, that investors invest oftentimes with people that they feel a connection to, right? They feel that they know this individual or this company because of the founder, right? So if all of the investors are only men, are only white men, it makes sense that there has for such a long time only been investments in the VC space going to predominantly white male run businesses. And I love the call to action for us in the community, whether you're a person of color, whether you're an LGBTQ person or you're a woman, make sure you're using some of your money to be able to invest into companies that you can connect with or find a relation with because of the fact that you're part of that community.
Yeah, and not only that, the good part is this helps build your wealth. And besides
Right.
building your wealth, you're making an impact. You're leaving a legacy. You're changing things up. And so anybody that can put 2 to 5% of their portfolio into venture capital should be doing that. But the system has been broken because no one has even given us a vehicle to learn what it's about and to learn that it's not as difficult as we thought. It's not just for millionaires to invest in. Someone could put their 401k or pension fund money into an alternative wealth investment like this and benefit from it in so many ways, building their wealth, making an impact. And so, yeah, if you want to be out there making a difference, this is one way to do that while also building your wealth. I mean, what could be a better combination, right?
Right.
Absolutely. So I'm curious, for a lot of folks, especially in the LGBTQ plus community, there is already an inherent aversion to investing in the stock market. I'm curious, how is your message being received? Because this is almost like a sort of a punk rock strategy of investing, right? For a lot of people, and they might be a little bit scared about doing it.
Yeah, I think we have to walk through our fears, and one of the fears is if we don't understand something. So first, learn about it, and then learn how exciting and fascinating it is. You're gonna meet the coolest people on the planet. They're the innovators, the brilliant people creating things. You don't have to have the great idea. You just have to invest in somebody who does, and that's the beauty of it. You get in those rooms, you go to an event like, say, Gangels, which is the gay angels. You get into a room with a community of founders that are gay, like Start Out. Go to those events and meet these incredible people. This is a place to mix and get yourself involved and throw yourself into this incredible arena of brilliant people, brilliant minds, and have a great time. I say don't do anything unless you're going to have fun, right? That's the beauty of
Right.
this podcast, right? You're gonna have fun listening to it, and the bottom line is whatever you do in life, it should bring you joy, and I think there's a great joy in knowing that you're helping do something for your community, at the same time that you're building your wealth. So this is why I'm a big proponent of this, and I do believe it's films that help educate people in an entertaining way. So, you might say to somebody, "Hey, I want to talk to you about venture capital," and they might, put on the snooze alarm. But the bottom line is super, super exciting, and if you come see the film, show her the money, which is great for anybody and everyone, men and women, you will learn what the entrepreneurs are going through, but you'll also get to see behind the curtain the people that are starting the funds that are funding these projects and the investors who are investing in these projects, making it possible, and then you're gonna wanna be part of that arena.
I love that. What I heard was that Catherine thinks we're fun.
Right?
Right.
Just
And
the show name is fun.
right. That's I think one of the nice things about the world we live in today. It's so much easier to learn with the tools that we have available to us. So folks, if you're new here, welcome to Living Not So Fabulously. This is your front row seat to the money truths that are served up with a little bit of sparkle and zero judgment. We're talking with angel investor, podcast host, and documentarian Catherine Gray. If you're watching on YouTube, share in the comments here what you think it takes today to have your voice heard and your ideas taken seriously in America.
So, Catherine, founding and supporting female investors wasn't your first career necessarily. You directed I Can't Marry You, the 2004 documentary narrated by Betty DeGeneres, which shared the stories, like you just said, of 20 LGBTQ plus folks navigating the emotional and legal barriers to marriage equality. It was one of the first films on gay marriage aired on PBS, sort of bringing the stories to life, like you talked about earlier. How did telling those stories of love and equality influence your perspective on whose voices are heard and whose ideas are funded in America?
Yeah, well, back then when we could not get married, there was no same-sex marriage, and I happened to finish the film right when we could get married in San Francisco and Massachusetts,
Mm.
and so, that was just lucky timing, honestly, so I did get it on PBS, and I felt like PBS was a great, you know, middle America market to show people, you know, these gay families are the same as yours. They have children, they have pets, they have this, but they have this dilemma that we weren't getting the 1,000 rights and benefits and protections that come with marriage. And in a film, I could tell that story where it would help you to get to know the people, like the people, and feel for them. And so that's what I think the beauty of filmmaking and storytelling is it allows people to see a perspective on something that might not be in their own arena, in their own household, in their own neighborhood, and helps you to see things from a different perspective. So I do believe it's films like mine, I Can't Marry You, as well as others, and of course TV shows like, let's say, Will and Grace, that started to help people understand why same-sex couples should have that ability to get married just like them, and that it wasn't anything religious because, I had religious people come down on me. I said, "This is about, government rights and policies. These are laws. You can't visit your, spouse in a hospital. You can't, marry an immigrant." All of these things that, were really detrimental to us. And so I just thought making a film about it, again, raising awareness, educating people, but also with a heart-centered message is what really helps change culture. So believe me, years after I made that movie, and I didn't know if it would happen in my lifetime, and my own gay community told me I was crazy, it would never happen. There was 10 years later, they announced, the overturning of DOMA. I cried. I was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe this happened. This is a miracle." And I just am a big proponent of believing that it is film and television that changes culture. And so when I came across this statistic of women getting only 2 to 3% of venture capital and men getting the majority, I thought, oh my God, this juxtaposition is so out of balance. This is crazy. How
Mm.
come no one's talking about it? And I was at a Hollywood party and I met this, my friend was putting on the party, said, "Oh, I want to introduce you to this director. He just won a Lifetime Achievement Award." And I went to, she said, "I want you to tell him about your documentary." And so I did, and I didn't think he'd be at all interested, this old white guy. And I was like, so he says to me, "Catherine, you know a story that no one else knows about, and you need to tell that story." I
Mhm.
kinda got goosebumps that, like, "Oh my God, I'm onto something here. I know this has got to be told," and went on that rampage now of feeling more empowered to raise $1,000,000 to make the movie, and, that's what happened. I just found other like-minded people, and I think that's what fundraising is all about, finding people who
Absolutely.
see the perspective that you do, who believe in your project, and that really is the key.
I love that. Please hold that thought, Catherine. We'll be right back after we pay the bills here in a little bit. Welcome back to Living Not So Fabulously. We're back with talking with entrepreneur, creative, and thought leader Catherine Gray.
So, Catherine, you've shared now a couple of times that you've had multiple fundraising efforts. I'm just curious, can you share, previously you have shared that you've made some mistakes. Can you share what maybe some of the mistakes that you made and along the way in fundraising, especially ones that maybe felt a little humbling, and what you learned from it and can share with the rest of us who might be trying to do that?
I think one of the key things is that you have to have partners in your endeavors that align with your values, your personality. I think picking your partner, it's like picking a marriage partner, right? And you two would
Mm.
know, having been together over 20 years, you got to pick the right partner. And so that's one of the things. And if you keep getting stonewalled, you're probably not going in the right direction, because I really do believe if you're doing what you're meant to be doing, the universe has your back and everything will fall into place eventually and with pretty much ease if you're doing what you're meant to be doing. So, I think we all get a download and we have to listen to our insides and surround ourselves with people that fuel us. I think that is crucial to being
Mhm.
successful.
Yeah, you've talked about finding your people right before the break, those people who are sort of aligned with your mission. I think so many of us have an idea of what we want to achieve, and then we do whatever we can to try to force the outcome that we want. What's your advice for people to figure out how to figure out where is the stream and just flow downriver with the stream as opposed to trying to fight it, because we're not salmon.
It sounds fishy to me. I think I think that, listening to your insides, when things aren't feeling right, then you're probably not in the right zone or with the right people. So it's gotta feel right, and I'm a big believer in that, just listening to your insides. I always say they never steer you wrong, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think along those lines, a lot of LGBTQ plus entrepreneurs oftentimes struggle with whether or not their vision is worthy of being invested in. What's your advice for someone who feels like they have to prove themselves sort of twofold, right? They've got to prove themselves as a founder and then prove themselves as a queer person. And then if you fall into another minority demographic, you've got another level of proof. What's your advice for folks trying to sort of navigate all those different hurdles that honestly, cis white gay men don't, or straight men need to have to maneuver?
Well, first of all, I think, you just said as a business person and then as a queer person. And I would put that together and just say you're a person. You're a person with
Mhm.
a great idea that needs to be made or told. And then I would go out to groups that are with people that are aligned. Let's say you're looking for an investment, you're a gay person. I mean, I would go to somewhere like Angels and mix with other gay investors and then find people that align with your vision, who respect you, who like you, and who you like. It's a two-way street. You wanna find investors that you enjoy working with. There's good money and bad money. You wanna take the money from the people that really believe in you and believe in your vision, and they see it too, because then they will fuel you, and that's really important. So, yeah, put yourself in a room full of people that you feel comfortable with, and I think that really is the key.
Do you mind if I ask you a question about that? We've recently heard from several founders that they feel the need to go back into the closet and not talk about or hide the fact that they are from the LGBT community when they are presenting their business to potential VC firms or investors. Um, what would you say to not only the person who feels compelled to do that, but what would you say to the investors who may be not knowing enough or paying attention enough that person is trying to hide something about themselves because they feel it gives them an advantage when it comes to trying to raise capital?
I mean, for me personally, I would say never hide yourself, but you don't have to lead with it either.
Mhm.
You're there for your business idea. You're there, I think it's a story we tell ourselves, and so I don't walk into a room talking to investors saying I'm gay. I just walk in there saying, you know what? I have this really important project that you need to invest in. Does this resonate with you? Because we need to get a group of investors together to get behind this. It has nothing to do with that. Interesting thing about my movie, Show Her the Money, is half people from the LGBTQ community, whether it's me or the director or half of the cast. Didn't even plan it that way. It just organically unfolded that way. I originally had somebody tell me in the beginning, you know, your picture might be a little too gay. I don't know if they're gonna be accepting of that in some of the festivals. And I was like, really? I don't even think about that. And
Mm.
we've been over 100 cities around the world. No one has ever said to me, "Your film is too gay." Never. In fact, I've had people come up and said, "Thank you for showcasing gay people in it and making it so normalized." And so I think we have to normalize it. We are gay people in business, but we don't have to walk in and say we're gay. Why? We walk in and say, "I have a great business idea and you're gonna benefit from it, and that's why you're gonna wanna get behind it." Again, I wouldn't take money from people who wouldn't invest in something because I'm gay. So, there you go. Yeah.
Do you mind? We ask one question of all of our guests, and that is What is one piece of money or financial advice that you would share with folks in the LGBT community, especially based on your own personal experiences? And that can be either business wise or personal wise.
For those that are accredited investors, and maybe you don't even know what that is, so Google it, because so many out there are able to be investing if they're earning like over 200,000 a year, or they have $1 million in assets over and above their home, that they could be investing in this arena. And so if you can, then do. um, like for the reasons I said. Not only, the most amount of money is made in venture capital before it ever hits the public market. You mentioned the public market. Honestly, by the time it gets to the public market, people have already made billions of dollars on it. You're not going to make that much. It is more risky, venture capital, but if you pool your money in a venture capital fund, it's like a mutual fund. So you're minimizing your risks right there, especially if you believe in the general partners that run the fund making the decisions of where that money is deployed. And you're going to want to invest in one that deploys it to women and LGBTQ and people of color, because they tend to make a better investment, higher return, better, quicker exits, all of these things that make them a good investment. And that's important. I have a quote on my desk that I thought would be great to share on this show, for everybody out there that thinks maybe they can't do something, but I just love it. It's on my desk because I think it's a great one. And it says, "The one thing that all famous authors, world-class athletes, business tycoons, singers, actors, and celebrated achievers in any field have in common is that they all began their journey when they were none of these things."
Yeah, right.
Love that.
That's so true.
I love
Right?
that.
Thank you.
So
Yeah,
all
thank
of
you for
it's
sharing that.
possible. Yeah, whoever you're, revering, at one time, they were just like you. And so anything is possible.
Well, thank you for joining us, Catherine, today. We really appreciate you sharing everything that you're doing for the LGBTQ plus community and for women.
Thank you, guys. So great to be on here. I appreciate that you have this platform for the community. Thanks so much.
Thank you. And thank you for tuning in. If you like what you see, scan the QR code to follow Yahoo Finance podcast for more videos and expert insights, because when you do, you'll make your money work a little harder for you, fund what matters, and help close that massive 74% funding gap. Don't forget to share in the comments what you think it takes to make it in America, especially today. And until next time, stay fabulous.
This content was not intended to be financial advice and should not be used as a substitute for professional financial services.